Welcome to
House of Whimsical Terror.
I'm Esther.
I'm Mary.
And we're coming to you from Tucson, Arizona.
And we're telling real stories of the fantastical.
All of our stories are true or told to us as true.
Occasionally we alter the names to protect privacy.
And the same for some of the places.
And today's story is...
He Remembers.
Yes.
So this story is going to lead us into kind of thinking about children who remember past lives. And we'll talk more about that in a minute. But this particular story is my nephew, my first nephew. And I had him one day up on Camp Cooper. So have you heard of Camp Cooper?
I've heard of Camp Cooper.
Yeah, so it's this place in Tucson where Tucson Unified School District used to take, maybe they still do, children up to do like a camping adventure in cabins and the really cool place. They get to learn things about the land and the First Nations who lived there. Whose land this is. Yeah. And so it was a very cool thing. Well, my sister, she's a lot younger than me. She had a group going, she was part of a group that was going up there and asked me to be a chaperone, which I was happy to do. Because it wasn't real camping, it was camping in a cabin.
So that's perfect.
With running water. And so I had my little nephew with me, and he was asleep in my arms. He had fallen asleep. We're at the top of the mountain, and he was about 16 months old at the time, and he had no language. Like, he did not speak. He didn't say any words. And I think he had said, like, duck once. My mom was pointing to the orange juice, and she asked him if he wanted some, and it was Donald Duck orange juice, and he pointed to it and said duck. But that was it.
Wow.
He never said it again, and he never said any other words up until at this point. He was 18 months and hadn't. So I was talking to my sister's former kindergarten teacher, and she knew my family very well because my mom was one of those school moms that she was the president of the PTA for multiple years. She was a, playground monitor. She was a school mom.
Overachiever.
Overachieving school mom.
Yeah.
So she would take him with her, my little nephew. So everyone knew him. The kindergarten teacher knew he didn't have language. And she's, of course, very expert in early childhood development, etc. So I was holding him. He's asleep, and we were just chatting about different things. And suddenly this airplane comes over. And it's loud, but it's passing over the top of the mountain, so it seemed closer. And as it was moving away, my nephew wakes up, and I'm shifting my arms around so I don't drop him because he's sitting up in my arms. And he points to the sky, and he says, "I went in one of those," clear as a bell.
No.
And my eyes got wide. The kindergarten teacher's eyes got wide, and she's like, just started shaking her head like, what just happened? And the first thing that came out of my mouth, because I was so shocked, I said, when? Because he had never been on an airplane. And he said, when I was 60, and then snuggled back into my arms and went back to sleep. It was the most bizarre thing.
Remarkable.
Because there's an 18-month-old that has no language and is suddenly clearly saying, not like a baby, but clearly, I went in one of those when I was 60.
Like he was remembering a past life.
Yeah, that was my first thought. And the kindergarten teacher was like, that was, she was like, that was the strangest thing I've ever seen. Like, he doesn't talk. And I said, yeah, he doesn't.
Wow.
So, and even if he did, I mean, that's kind of that's a lot of language for, 18 months.
It's some usual selection of language, really.
Who did Charles at when I was 60? That makes no sense.
Right. So, there's a university in the nation that a gentleman who's a psychiatry and neurobehavioral science person. He is doing research and has done some research on children who remember past lives. He's written a book on it, probably more than one by now. And, but yes, it's a thing. It's a thing.
Yeah.
And people people are able to contribute to his work.
So he has all the case studies from.
Yes, yeah, pretty interesting.
Yeah, interesting. There's family member. I won't say it because I didn't get permission from them, but their youngest son would talk about how he missed his other mommy and he missed his other daddy, and she would say, "What? What other mommy? What other?" His mom would say. And he would say, he would talk about his family and in detail. And his other father was a mechanic. His father in this life or now is a school principal. So it isn't even close to like my father was a mechanic, but he would remember, or he would talk about things with his other mommy and how much he missed her and, that type of thing. It was really interesting.
I'm pretty sure I would find that highly disturbing.
Yeah, I think his mom did. And she would talk about that. So, I don't know. Maybe she'll come on the show.
Maybe she will. That would be fantastic.
I read a book once that talked about, it was in England. There was a study that they did about, where they would gather stories of children who remembered past lives. And it seemed that children would remember details of things that would take place like within 100-mile radius, which I found interesting. There was one story that they had collected about a little girl. She was very little, maybe 4. And they moved to a new town, and they'd never been in this town before, but the father got a job there, and they were driving past, and the little girl said, "Oh, that's the hospital where I worked." And they said, "No, that's a bank. That's a bank where they explained to her what a bank was." And she said, "But that's the hospital where I worked when I was a nurse." And then they drove a little bit farther, and she said, "That's where I lived down that road." And they thought it was very strange. She was just like, using her imagination. And she said, my work was really hard. I can't remember all the things. I read this years ago. Something specific about the smells and the feeling and all of that. Sure enough, they find out that the bank used to be a hospital. And they went down, like she wanted to go look. And they went down to where she said she lived with the other nurses. And it was just this building that had like the glass broken out, and it was like a ruin of a building. And they said, they didn't know what it was, the parents. And she described it, and they found out. She goes, "I used to walk home down this lane, et cetera, et cetera." And they found out, sure enough, it used to be a dormitory for nurses, this place. And this little girl had never been there.
Right. Oh, my goodness. Wow. What an interesting, creepy ass area of study.
I know, there's something that gives you the shivers about it, right? Yeah, I don't know. I would love for all of you who are out there listening to send us some stories. We're going to do this a theme of our Midnight Circle. Okay, Midnight Circle is my idea, and I really need support from all of you out there, because Mary does not support me
I support
in staying up at midnight.
I don't support you by being awake. Exactly. I just support you, in spirit.
Yes, in spirit. That's a really good term.
Yeah.
But I've been wanting to do this Midnight Circle. I want to say stay up till midnight, but you know me, I stay up till like 2 a.m.
I'm sure it's midnight somewhere right now.
I'll be wide awake at midnight. But what I would love to do is have your stories, if you know of stories of your own or friends or things you've heard of children who remember their past lives, send those to me. And you can even send like a recording if you want to, and I'll listen to it. And I will, relate those stories at the Midnight Circle, which I'm really excited to do.
And I am excited for you.
And I open the email every day now.
Yes.
Since Mary said you aren't opening the email every day. But I do every single day, and there's never a story for the Midnight Circle.
That's right.
So this is going to be the theme, will be memories of past lives.
Okay.
Or children who remember past lives. Or if you remember, I don't even know if that's a real thing, but I'm really interested in hearing your stories about what you think about it.
Yeah.
So let's do it. You're going to send it. Please send it to me. It would be Houseofwhimsicalterror at gmail.com. And whimsical is spelled WHIMSICAL. Whimsical, I guess, would be the right pronunciation.
Or they could just look
House
at
of Whimsical Terror
name, and they'll know it.
That's true. But sometimes some people have told me they couldn't find it, and they were spelling it WIM instead of WHIM. Yeah. So
right, and it's not a commonly used term. It's not.
It should be.
It should be.
We're going to bring it back.
Term. Yeah,
we're bringing it back.
That's one of many.
Along with perhaps and trousers.
I didn't see that coming.
Yeah,
no.
Came into my brain.
All right. Well, hopefully our listeners will be sending you some email, and I'll be delighted by that.
You guys, Mary does not want to do the house. She wants to do the House of Blues.
Yes, I do.
She doesn't want to do the midnight circle.
I don't want to be awake at midnight. No, I don't.
But I do. I'm already awake at midnight.
But I might be. If you get some stories.
Send me some stories, even if you speak them, and send a little recording of you speaking it, or you don't have to type it all out if you don't want to. If you want to,
that's fine too.
Yes,
we're really easy to please.
I know.
We kind of are. I like that about us.
I do too.
All right. Well, thank you everyone for joining us, and I hope that you come back and listen to more stories. But for now, so long, good friends. Until next time, when we meet you back at the house.